And now, it's time for the College of Ice with Brian Brosdahl and Steve Panaz.
Hi, guys. Welcome to College of Ice. Happy Sunday. It's a great day. The Vikings eked out a win. We're making ice, and we've got some great fishing reports already coming in. Look at this. We've got Josh and Christopher signing in. So, hey, looking forward to a great show. We were going to talk a lot of technique tonight, a little bit of product, but mostly technique and location, which is really cool. Hey, I know Bro's been getting out. I've been seeing some reports on some things, and hey, Bro, why don't you join me in here, man?
Hey, how you doing? Happy Thanksgiving, post-Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? I mentioned on Wednesday that we had a 16-pound turkey, only 3 of us. There's no 16-pound turkey left anymore. I think it's gone. Hey, you posted a video the other day of a walleye coming in, and I want to play that video really quickly right now because it's only a 14-second clip, but
yeah,
just watch this. I know this was on the AquaView on the Mini Revolution.
Yes, Revolution Pro.
All right. You know, a couple things that really stuck with me on that video, Bro, was one, how patient you were in getting that fish to come in, and the body language on this. And a lot of times when you're watching fish, either on your electronics or with an AquaView, or if you're just actually sight fishing, you learn so much about it. And 2 things that stuck out to me is that fish was not that aggressive. Number 2, the hook set was almost gentle. Where the fish didn't panic at all. Take us through the kind of background on that fish.
Well, you know, when it came in, you know, the fish, the pressure was a little bit lower. It was like 29.82, and it was 30 in the morning, so it had dropped a little. So the fish were a little bit more lethargic, and I was kind of targeting perch and walleyes, and you can see I got my hot tiger there. So I had waxies, and I was jigging real subtle. And I noticed the fish was up higher, so I brought it up. And he came in, but I'm using more of a medium light. So when I set the hook, I do more of a sweep, then I drive it in a little. And that thing woke up at the hole, let's just say that. It went nuts at the bottom of the hole, and just a blast to catch fish like that. And it was actually a really nice size fish, 23, 24 incher. I never measured it, but I've caught a lot of fish in that size.
Now, rumor has it you have another fish story you wanted to share, too, something about a giant.
Yeah, the best time to catch fish is when you're shooting a show. We're shooting a show on early ice, what to do, different techniques and safety, and then went out there, wanted to get some perch and some bluegills, crappies, whatever, walleye, and we're on a shallow bay of a bigger lake, and I managed to stick one that was over 30, and it was super girthy, and it was quite a battle. It was amazing. I think it was a little bit more panicky in the show itself because I had 3-pound test, and you know, I've had fish come off under the ice like that, so it's going to be good. It's going to come out. It's on Angling Buzz Ice, and it should be out in the next couple weeks here. And it was just a monster. So it was a lot of fun. We have 5 inches of.
Where's the picture?
Unfortunately, it's with Angling Buzz, but it's going to be all over. I know.
Right.
Just one more thing. By the time you do all that stuff, one more photo pulling out a phone could be the death of that fish. And I just wasn't ready, and I didn't know I was going to catch that fish.
You know, I have a rule, Bro, that if you don't send me a picture, the fish doesn't count. So until Angling Buzz comes out, you have not caught a 30-inch walleye today.
It's a good story, right?
It's a good story.
There's Lee. Hey, Lee, the winner.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I wanted to congratulate Lee Kimball. This isn't Dr. Kimball but he's from Lakewood, Colorado. He checked in a lot last Wednesday, and he won the Framo prize pack. And we're giving away another prize pack tonight. Kai, go ahead and throw up the graphic. I want to show everybody what you get a chance to win. So, yeah, you can win a tip up and all this. But, Bro, how can they win tonight?
All you got to do is like or share the show and drop us some questions, comments during the show, and you're in to win.
That's awesome. And give us some updates on the ice fishing, the ice conditions in your area. I think that would be really awesome. So, bro, I know you've been fortunate. The lake I live on in Minneapolis here has zero ice. I mean, even the backwater's not there. Hey, Mark, how are you? Here's my neighbor, Mark. How are you doing, man? But talk a little bit about what you're finding around home. I know they've been fishing up on red. I'm hearing reports out of North Dakota. I'm hearing reports out of some of the areas in Wisconsin as well. But what are you finding around home?
Well, Red
Hey,
Lake
Nate.
obviously has 5 to 7 inches of ice, but that's a lot of moving ice. Be careful out there and listen to what the resort people are saying. It's not about going all over the place. A lot of stuff is locked up here. Little lakes, little bays of lakes, chains of lakes, like the Bemidji chain. One of them might be frozen. I'm not going to say the name with good ice, but there's 4 or 5 inches of ice in some of these spots. But there's open water out there. You just got to know what you're doing, and people are testing and checking. I could see where they've drilled a lot of holes going out there, and that's what I've been doing. I checked out 5 lakes today. All 5 had open spots in the middle, so they're venting. There's still heat at the bottom, and it's coming up, and so it's that time where it takes a little bit of time to cool. So never take a chance. But you can definitely fish. Just go where you can get to, where there's still some good ice. Hey, Jeff.
So we're dealing with wind again, at least across the upper Midwest, and that's been the death for a lot of things. So I know a lot of anglers that were fishing red a couple days ago got up there today and just decided not to fish it. So I think that's pretty interesting. Hey, we've got a really cool show tonight. We've got Jeff Gustafson coming on board. Gussie, well-known elite Bassmaster angler for the last number of years now out of Kenora, Ontario, but he grew up on the shores of Lake of the Woods. He's a huge fan of giant lake trout and big pike and walleye and that sort of thing. So that should really be awesome. Looking forward to having him on around 7:15. And then we got a really cool another guest, Shane Dubois from he formerly from Wisconsin, but he now lives in Western Wyoming, and he's going to talk about some of these great Western fisheries that I know you've been out to, at least one that we're going to mention. I've been to a couple of them, and they're great things to talk about. So if you're looking for road trips with giant fish, Shane's going to share a lot of these things with us. And then we got Joe Reimer from Frank's Great Outdoors, absolutely great tackle shop out of Linwood, Michigan, coming up. So that's going to be really awesome. So, hey, bro, I did want to talk to you a little bit more. We talked a little bit about color, and I still haven't got a straight answer from you on this. So straight colors, glows, and UV. So take me through your color selections. Not patterns or colors, but when do you go with glow? When do you go with standard paint? And when do you go to the UVs?
I love using perch patterns. Perch are big forage for walleyes. If you're targeting walleyes, perch patterns, shiner patterns, and from there you can get into colors and glows. But it depends on water characteristics, like if the water's murky or has a little bog stain, if it's really clear. But on a bright day, I'll still use glow. And because when you bring it up to put bait on and drop it down, it's glowing from the sun. And UV is a big deal. UV is something that fish and animals can see. So when you're deer hunting, you don't want UV on. You're like a Christmas bulb for the deer. But for fish, you want them to see your presentation. So I'm a big fan of UV, and then breakout. And this is still one of my favorite baits here. It's that electric perch, but you'll notice it's got the barring, the stripes, and there isn't a perch that quite looks like that, but the fish really like it. It really contrasts nice in clear water, and then more of a green when I'm in gin clear water. You got to mess around. And I mentioned purple in the past. When you're fishing walleyes, you got to keep washing spoons and rattle baits. But when you're fishing for crappies and bluegills, I love glows. Anything that brings them in, because bluegills are attracted anything that glows, but the real pressured ones aren't. And that's why we still have to remember golds and black, purple, and dark colors contrasting against the ice. Sometimes in that dark world, you bring it up a little bit and they'll see it and they come up and grab it. So
okay,
good to see you,
stuff. Johnny, good to see you. I like these ice reports coming in. Hey, I'm going to ask you a question. That walleye, that trophy you just got, that 30-incher, was that a suspended fish?
Yes, it was. And I had a chance to play with the new Aquaview quad cam, so it looks 4 directions.
Yeah.
And I seen it coming in, and I knew it was a walleye because you could see it's a walleye. And I was fishing a 1.5 feet off the bottom. This fish was almost 5 feet up, and I raised my bait. It came in and ate it. And this was an aggressive fish, but it wasn't going to go down to get it. And a lot of times fish will feed up, but they won't feed down. Sometimes you can get walleyes to drop, but this one wasn't in that mood. And I had a second walleye that did that also. And we kept noticing on the quad cam, they'd go by and you'd see them chasing something, and they're aggressive for just a short window. And so if I wasn't watching the quad cam, which is really a cool thing, I wouldn't have got that fish, because we had dogfish and bass swimming by once in a while, and when the dogfish would lay down, I just figured it was another dogfish coming in, and no, it was a walleye, and I seen it. And really cool technology to be able to see them with your own eyes.
So you caught this fish 5 feet off the bottom. How deep of water were you in?
10 feet.
10
So
feet. So it was halfway down there.
Yeah, don't look down your hole too fast. You might scare them.
I'm finding a lot of times that these suspended fish that are coming through tend to be the largest walleyes in the lake. And I've seen it on Mille Lacs, not just winter fishing, but summer fishing as well. And I think this is one of those areas that we should spend more time on, and focusing, trying to figure out these more suspended fish. And I think that's really cool. Scott, good to see you here, man. That's really awesome.
And you could get lights for your AquaViews also, for that past question. Great question. You can get lights for nighttime use in infrared and stuff. They sell that stuff. Check out what they have online.
That's really cool. Hey, Jeff Gustafson's actually on board already. I want to bring him in. Jeff has really made a name for himself on the Bassmaster Elite circuit the last couple of years, which is really interesting because he's out of Kenora, Ontario. So he's got a lot of driving to do every year, but he's had another great year on the circuit. And Gussie, how you been, man?
Pretty good, boys. How are you guys doing?
How you doing?
Good to see you, man. I had two questions.
Yeah.
I can't figure out how many miles a year you must put on your tow vehicle and your boat. I mean, you're driving from Kenora down to Georgia, down to South Carolina. I mean, how many miles do you actually put on a year?
I don't know, probably around 40 or so.
40 miles.
But typically in a normal year, I usually leave my boat and truck and fly back and forth between events.
Okay.
And this year, just with the way it was, I was driving and back and forth. So I put on more this year than I typically do. But a lot of our events in the winter and spring are in the Southeast. So I'm able to get down there and park it at, near Lake Lanier, near Atlanta, near Birmingham, near Nashville, fly back to Winnipeg, and I'm about an hour and a half ride home from Winnipeg. So that's usually my road of transportation.
You know what blows me away, Gussie, is that you're fishing against the best bass anglers in the country, and these are guys that grew up fishing shad-based fisheries, the southern reservoirs for species like spots, which you have none available, and these roaming largemouth and these things. How did you figure out how to compete with these guys at a high level like you have been?
Well, I've got my butt whipped plenty of times, but I think that I just didn't want to have to do a 9-to-5 job. So you go figure it out. I mean, sounds
like us, bro.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah,
so.
Like you guys know the deal. Just whatever you got to do to not have to get a real job. But I mean, for me, you guys fish for a lot of different species, and I'm lucky growing up at Lake of the Woods. We get to fish for a lot of different species. So like for me, I think it's just a bass is a bass for the most part. I mean, whether you're in Florida or Georgia or Minnesota or Canada, they're going to relate to some kind of structure, cover. The time of year is going to have a big influence on where to look, and you just try to use a lot of that information. And but anymore, I mean, I've been to a lot of the lakes now that we go to for these tournaments. There's usually one or two new ones every year, but I don't do a ton of, prep work other than, reading a few articles. If there's an old TV show, I like to watch those. But I mean, we usually, like, I know I stay with the Johnston brothers and Seth Fider and Chris Groh. And I mean, a lot of us, it's just, we go pick a couple different ramps and go launch we get 3 days to pre-fish, and you go, between the between all of us, usually after a day or two, we have some idea of what's going on, and usually just try to figure something out.
I know. I want to switch over to ice real quick. I know. Yeah, nice mug there, bro. I know you're a fan of big Lakers. What are some of the bays on Lake of the Woods that produce some of the biggest Lakers, and how do you target them in terms of patterns and locations?
So for me, I live on the west arm of the lake, so the Clearwater Bay area. Clearwater Bay itself is actually closed to lake trout fishing during the winter, but we fish. The walleye fishing is phenomenal up here, so we fish a lot of walleyes. Where you're just out of Clearwater, and we catch a fair amount of trout. Just that they, in the winter they kind of freewheel around and go where the bait is, and that's the biggest thing is finding where the bait's at, and you're going to run into some Lakers. But otherwise, Whitefish Bay has the biggest population for sure on the lake, and a lot of good water to fish. And when I was younger, I used to fish down there a lot. That's about an hour south of me. But most of the time when I go now, I leave from my house and go on the machine, and I can be walleye fishing in 5 minutes and mix in. I like to do like 40 minutes, hour lake trout fishing, and either I'm going to catch 3 in that time and it's happening or good. And if I don't get any, then go look for walleyes or crappies and find something that's biting, but I wouldn't, stay doing something for more than an hour or so if it's not happening.
So do you have fishable ice right now?
The little stuff's frozen up here, but Lake of the Woods, it's right across the road from me. It's wide open still, like the north end up where I'm at. A lot of the shallower bays are covered over, but the big stuff, any of the lake trout water up here is wide open still. It'll be, and it's funny. It's cool, but it just doesn't want to get cold. And I think if we get, one couple good cold nights, everything's going to lock up, but it's looking like it's going to be warm here for another week or two. So
are you are you having to wind like we are around here too?
We did today. Yesterday was dead calm. Today was brutal. But that doesn't help either, but it's close. A couple good cold nights and we'll be good to go. But hey, Charlie. I'm ready. I'm excited. I do love ice fishing, and I think I actually Northland Tackle and Strike Master were like the first, really good sponsors that ever paid me. I think that I had, and it was for ice fishing stuff. So it was kind of cool. I love that I get to go down to Florida here in usually late January or February and get back in the boat and mix it up. But I do love ice fishing, and I'm lucky, like where I live here in Sunset Country, one of the best places in the world just for all the different multi-species options and big fish, but just good fishing. It's if the lake trout aren't biting, walleyes will be, crappies will be, pike, big pike. That's all. That's a lot of the fun of it.
So let's cover a couple of different species. If you're targeting, if someone wants to target lake trout, what do they look for in terms of just general structure, depth, and what are you using for lures or baits?
So for the most part, I haven't used meat for lake trout in over 10 years. It's all artificial stuff, mostly plastic, and a lot of the best waters, whether you're anywhere up here in Canada, most of the good waters you're not allowed to use meat for trout. They're pretty fragile, especially the big ones. So but they love cold water. So in the winter they're like sharks. They are on the go, looking for food. So as far as places to fish, it's usually one of two things for me. It's the really, really obvious pieces of structure, the humps, long points, or bluffs like the walls and ledges. They'll push bait up against those things, and then you fish your bait throughout the entire water column. Like they're not like, most walleyes are going to be near the bottom, and I heard you guys talking earlier about a lot of the bigger walleyes you catch are suspended, and you always keep your eyes peeled for those. But a lot of a lot of the trout, I mean, they can be anywhere in the water column, but the days that are the best, where, you know, you catch 8 or 10, 12 fish in a day, those are the days when you get them up high, you know, 5, 10, 20 feet under the ice. And if you get in a shelter, I mean, I've had so much fun over the years. I used to do, you know, I just fish my bait where I could see it and like literally sight fish it all day. And you'd see these trout come on and the fins sticking out. It's like super cool.
Yeah.
But bait wise, I mean, I'm just using minnow imitators, you know, for the most part. So just your jerk shad, you know, on a jig. So that's a Northland smelt head and a Z-Man scented jerk shad. You know, just your fluke style baits. The Z-Man baits, they're killer for the, you know, these straight tailed baits. They're tough to beat. This one's called a finesse shad. It's a really good walleye bait. It's actually a good drop shot bait too, but you can see how limber that tail is. And that's how you can always tell a good tube for bass fishing. If you hold it up, if the tentacles just stick straight out, those ones aren't as good as the ones that kind of fall over like that.
That's cool.
But that tail has a lot of action, and you know,
is that a 4-inch bait?
That's a 4-inch bait, yeah, and it's fairly small. I mean, it's skinny, but you know, good walleye bait as well. But that's a good lake trout bait, and like I've caught, you know, 20 pounders on these. These are 4-inch baits. I will use the 5 sometimes, but you don't. It's clear water. I mean, they can see these from a long ways away, and they puke up a lot of smelt and Cisco's when you're fishing for them. And a lot of the baits aren't actually that big, so it just depends. Sometimes if I'm, you know, with my buddies and we're really after big fish, then it might be a big, you know, an 1.5 ounce airplane jig or a big spoon or a big lipless, like vibrating bait, just to try and like, you know, get that active fish on this piece of structure and get his attention. And, you know, that's sort of a good way to go. But lake trout, all about just getting a bait in the water, moving it around in the water column. And, you know, they show themselves. They're usually in a good mood to bite. And, you know, it's just a lot of, if you fish an area, you know, you're with your buddies, you fish somewhere for half an hour, 40 minutes, and no one marks any or catches any, you better go try something different.
So what pound test line are you using?
I typically just use 10-pound braid and a 10-pound leader. And I mean, I catch a few 20-pounders every year. I mean, you can land them on that stuff. I just find I get way more bites, with the, you know, downsizing a little bit, unless they're just really biting and active. Like I always carry a big heavy stick with some heavier tackle, but for the most part, I'm using, you know, a lot of the same rods that I use for walleyes. I'm actually just gonna tie trout baits on and maybe have it. You know, typically for walleyes, I'll use an 8-pound leader, and trout I like a 10 or 12-pound leader.
Okay.
But
well, I got a question for Gussie. I keep hearing about these crappies, and you catch giant crappies. Let's hear a little bit about your crappie fishery there.
Well, and I'm sure a lot of the people watching this have fished for crappies up here, but we've got a lot of good crappie fishing across northwestern Ontario, and there's lots of, if you can find, you know, some of these lakes or little holes that aren't getting pressured. I mean, you'll catch 14, 15 inches. You know, I've caught a few 16 inches. Those are getting pretty big. But it's just all about finding fish that aren't too beat up. So a lot, you know, there's been, like all of us, no matter where you live, the spots that are, you know, easy to get to and everyone knows about them, you know, you're not catching very many of the giants off those places. So it's just, you know, and now the Lake Master mapping, the you know, ability to use GPS and just and find a lot of these places, brush piles and different structural elements in the boat, you know, in the summer and fall. It makes fishing a lot easier for these things. And now, like a lot of the live and 360, like it's almost not fair to those poor fish. But
what are you using
fun.
for? What do you target crappies with? What kind of bait?
I don't even want to tell you because it's embarrassing probably, but I literally all I ever use is a baby puppet minnow or a little Northland Doodlebug spoon, and I put a couple plastic little waxies or deal on there. But I don't up here, dude. If you find them like when they're if they're not all beat up, I mean you don't have to. There's no finesse. It's
they bite
something down there. Yeah,
I like that.
Like
so Gussie, years back.
Bite walleye. Yeah. No one send me messages on Instagram asking my favorite finesse bait for crappies because I'm not using it.
So I years ago I took for spring break I took our family up to the Lincoln Woods, and my daughter was used to these 8-10 inch crappies, and she caught like a 16-incher, and she looked at me. She says, "Dad, what is this?" I said, "That's a crappie." She goes, "No, what is this?" And it was just so big. She had never seen anything like that before. Hey, if somebody wanted to target giant pike on Lake of the Woods, up at where you fish, kind of take us through your techniques for giant pike.
So I had this conversation with a lot of my buddies, and whether Gord Pizer lives up here, Aaron Weeb lives in Manitoba, fishes out here quite a bit. Jeff Anderson, a buddy of mine from Minnesota, big pike guy. You ask any of these guys, in most places, up here in Ontario, we're allowed to use 2 lines per person. But most places, if that's your scenario, we don't sacrifice tip-ups for jigging lines. If you want to catch a big pike, it's all about, tip-ups and then quick strike rigs. That's just a Northland Predator rig. And places where you have to by law have a spinner on your rig. That's the way to go. And then you got to get big bait. I mean, that makes a big difference. Big suckers. I like Cisco's or herring the best, but you can any kind of big minnow. And then I'm putting one hook in the head and one around their dorsal fin. And these rigs are really nice because they hang your bait in a natural fashion, if you can sort of picture how that works. And I like to set them about a foot off the bottom. And, March is the best time for that. They set up outside of these shallow bays. This is just a rig that I've made too. Some people like the inline rigs like this, and they don't look as natural. I mean, your bait will just be almost nose down, but they work really well too. If you ever, I sort of was running out of rigs last year, and I made a few, and I just dug this out of my box tonight.
How big a minnow do you use, or a whitefish, or tulipy?
I want to use something that's generally 7 to 9 inches, but up to a 12, 13 incher. I saw Eric Nag signed in here before, and he's been up quite a few times. And I mean, it's almost like the bigger the bait, the better. And we catch a lot of our own bait up here. You run into the Cisco's sometimes when you're fishing for whitefish or lake trout. They'll chase your baits around, and then we just have a little spoon ready to drop down and catch some bait. But that's, if you want to catch a big pike, you got yourself a tip up, a quick strike rig, and then when the flag goes off, I mean, you don't have to let them run for a long time. I mean, you run over to it. I like to, as soon as the spool sort of starts to slow down, I mean, you'll see it spinning. As soon as that thing starts to slow down, you just, pull it out and hit them. And they're usually going to be hooked right in the corner of the mouth. And it's pretty awesome. That's the best way to catch a big pike. Hands
Very
down.
important. I wanted to tell you, I wanted to ask this. I've been waiting. Do you target jumbo perch through the ice, Gussie?
So growing up, you would not get caught dead with a perch in your bucket or in your live well or on your stringer when I was a kid. I mean, my dad would never keep a perch, and it's changed now. And we actually have been getting a lot of big perch while we're walleye fishing, and it just seems like it's getting better and better every year. So no, I appreciate them. And my wife and I, we keep the perch too, and save a few walleyes and eat them up.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, Gussie, hey, we're going to be watching on the Bassmaster Elite Circuit again this year. Congrats on another good year. I love that 9.7 you had out of down in South Carolina. Were you on Marion or Moultrie? Which lake were you on?
I was on the top lake, whatever one that is. I don't even know which one I was on. I was
that's a
top lake.
That's a fun body of water to fish, though. I've had a chance to get under myself.
Yeah, it was. It really was. I can't wait to go back. And I know it's really good in the spring. I can't wait to go back. But hey, you guys are doing a good killer job with these, so keep it up. And I'm going to enjoy the rest of the night.
Thanks, man. Gussie, thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
See ya.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gussie.
Oh, bro, it's so fun to talk to him. He's got he's always just so enthusiastic, and he's a great fisherman and
full of
information and stuff. Hey, I wanted to, before we bring Shane on, I wanted to we got one little special I want to talk about for the Cyber Monday from Frabill. It's that it's the i3 suit. Can you take us through that real quick?
Yeah, if you get the i3 suit, you buy the jacket, you get the bibs for half off, 50% off, and there's some other gear. So go to the Frabill and check it out. You can shop right now if you want to.
That's awesome. Hey, I want to bring in Shane Dubois. He's formerly out of Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, was in the military for a number of years, moved out to Colorado, fell in love with the mountains, and I don't blame him, but Colorado was a little too busy for him, so he moved up to Rock Springs, Wyoming. And Shane, welcome to College of Ice, man. We really appreciate you coming on board today. How are you?
There he is.
Take your mute off if you can.
Oh, sorry about
that.
There we go. How you doing, Shane?
Good. How are you?
Long time no see.
Right? Been a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you're already wearing the Western hat. I mean, that's the trout hat of everybody, isn't it out there?
Yeah. It's got the Wyoming buck and bronco on there, so I figured we're doing a trout episode. I'd represent Wyoming appropriately.
That's really awesome. So how long have you been in Rock Springs?
About 4. It'll be 4 years in May, so 3.5 right now.
Okay. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is I've had a chance to fish Hebkin, and I know, bro, those 2 perch up behind you are from Cascade in Idaho, some giant fish. But Shane, take us through some of the top Western fisheries that are available, say in Montana, Idaho, Utah, and Wyoming, and kind of highlight a few of them. I've got a few maps already built. We've got these very high-end graphics. I think they use like a magic marker to point to the lake on it. They're really high-end. But take us through your favorite lake. Bro, I know you've been up to Cascade, and can you kind of share your experience with Shane before we get into that real quick?
Yeah, well, we heard about these big perch, and we had some time, so Heather and I ran out there, and it's big water. It's not giant. It's like 10,000 acres or something, and went out there, and there's people fishing, the hardcore fishermen, but it's a skiing destination there. It's gorgeous, hills and mountains. But we did come back with a couple of 16-inch 2 2.25. You can see how
we even have a picture of one of them. Kai, do you have a photo of that? You could run it.
They're monsters, and you truly have to see them to appreciate. They're unbelievable.
Stunning fish.
Yeah, and there's some like that in Lake of the Woods. But look at Heather's holding a 2.25 there, and I mean, I couldn't imagine what that would have been in another 2 months. I mean, it's so big, but we didn't really keep fish to eat there. We just wanted to catch a few trophies, you know.
That's really cool. But Shane, take me through some of your favorite bodies of water out there.
Yeah, so I'll start with the one that's closest to me, which is Flaming Gorge, which is, kind of half and half in Wyoming and Utah. So, a lot of you guys in the Midwest like to fish for burbot, lawyers. People call them different stuff. We don't have a limit out here, and you can literally go out this time of year and, catch 100, 200 fish a night and fill that cooler up. So, it'd be like a Midwesterner's dream coming out here fishing for burbot. They were illegally stocked in the gorge, so they're trying to kind of mitigate, but they've basically called it home, and it's nothing to catch burbot over 30 inches on the gorge. So the same body of water, you can go catch 20 to 40 pound lake trout. The new state record for Utah was broken this year. It's 54 pounds out of Flaming Gorge. So and then there's kokanee salmon, which a lot of people out here, it's real big. The average salmon out here at the gorge is going to be 3 to 4 pounds.
Wow,
which is pretty good. And there are some opportunities through the ice for salmon too. And it's a lot of fun. There's also really good smallmouth fishing in the gorge. I think it's I think it's overlooked because there's a lot of 4 or 5 pound smallmouth that are in the gorge as well.
Shane, Flaming Gorge was famous back in the 70s for giant brown trout. There were world record catches coming out of there. Guys like Bob Bringhurst and these guys that were trolling custom baits. They were painting them like small trout. But that fishery has really declined, almost disappeared. What's the status of the brown trout fishery there now?
The browns are the last couple of years have been kind of making a comeback. You can still get into 6 to 10 pound browns here and there. But we're starting to see a lot more numbers up north on the northern end of the lake. But nowhere near where it was, 20, 30 years ago. And a lot of that is just a lot of these western lakes or reservoirs actually are dammed up. And, so all that sagebrush and everything else like that holds bait fish over the years just kind of, just goes away. And so they lose that habitat and you see the lake just kind of cycle through. It's pretty common out west for that to happen.
So what's another, I know you were on Henry's yesterday.
Yeah. So I actually just got off of Henry's about an hour ago.
Wow.
So I'm up here, I'm in an Airbnb right now. And so I'm tucked in a corner where it's quiet, but fishing's been pretty good. Henry's Lake, for those of you guys that don't know, is about 15 miles from the West Yellowstone entrance. Real beautiful country. It's only about a half hour from Hebgen Lake.
Bring it up
down south.
Kai, bring it up on air.
Yeah.
You got Shane. You got to check out this fancy map we made.
Okay.
Oh, I guess we have no Henry. See, that's how fancy it is. We don't even have it on the map yet. But so what were you targeting on Henry's?
So the 3 main species of fish out there are, you have the hybrids. So it's a rainbow cutthroat mix, Yellowstone cutthroat, and brook trout. So we caught all 3 today. Nothing too big, but Henry's Lake is known for, fish over 10 pounds. Last year, I got a 14-pound hybrid out of there, ice fishing. So that's my personal best. It was 33 inches. But a lot of good opportunities. We probably caught 50, 60 fish today by about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Bro,
great day.
Road trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
you better
Grab my stuff.
he better hurry because it closes December 31st is the last day, and then it's closed till Memorial Day weekend.
I don't think
All right. So where do you head after Henry's closes?
Usually after Henry's closes, I kind of go back to the gorge. But a lot of guys like to make the trip up to Fort Peck in Montana. That's a real popular destination for a lot of guys. American Falls Reservoir is kind of a sleeper lake. There we go.
Hey,
there's
Shane, have you ever seen graphics this awesome?
I have not. I mean, this is some cutting edge stuff.
We have a massive budget for this show, so I just wanted to make sure that you clear. But you were saying you thought American Falls was actually going to challenge Cascade as a yellow perch fishery. Is that really what the case is?
Yeah, so one of my good friends who guides up there, Brett Jones, he grew up in the area, and they have the food supply there to sustain big. And
there's Brett right here.
There's Brett. Usually he's in bed by now, so we're keeping him up late. But yeah, it's according to Brett, it's got the food chain to supply those big perch and to keep them going. And he's caught quite a few fish. They're not quite Cascade size yet, but give them another couple years and they'll be there. The world record hybrid was actually caught out of there too. It was 41 inches. And that's
wow. And there was a rainbow that was caught last March or May that was 31.25 inches that was released. So there's some giant trout in there.
Yep, and that was actually Brett who caught that. He beat.
Is that right?
State record. Yep. And
that's actually part of the Snake River. That one of the reservoirs. So there's a lot of nutrients coming through on that. That's awesome. So talk to us a little bit about Cascade. Are you there very often?
I've never actually been there yet, so I'm probably not the person to ask about it. I have quite a few friends that go up there every year. I haven't made it up there. I'm hoping to get up there this year and to check it out.
That's very cool. And then one other, Hebgen. Are you on Hebgen very often?
I've only ever fished Hebgen once over by the dam. Really good brown trout fishery. A lot of 20, 23-inch fish. Potential to get that 8 to 10 pound brown out of there. Pretty decent rainbows.
That's cool. I was actually out there pre-fishing for one of the NIAI or whatever the tournament circuits are a couple years back, and I was really blown away by the number of good fish that we caught in that 2.25 to maybe 3.5, 4 pounds, and we weren't anywhere near the dam, but it was a great, beautiful lake near, just out of West Yellowstone. So if you're out in that neck of the woods, if you're on a ski vacation or out there for visiting family over Christmas or something, there's some great fishing options out there. In fact, you grew up in Wisconsin. You had Lake Michigan and Green Bay in your back door, and you made the decision to leave. Obviously, the fishing must be pretty incredible.
Yeah, the fishing out here, as we discussed the other day, is I often think it's overlooked out here. In Colorado, you have probably some of the best pike fisheries in the country, where you have an opportunity to catch a 20, 30-inch pike, both through the ice and in open water. A lot of people associate the West with just trout, but, just to give you an example, like at American Falls, you can go catch, 1.5 pound perch, 5 pound smallmouth, big rainbows, big browns. You can go below the dam and catch, 8-foot sturgeon, white sturgeon down there. There's just so many great fisheries out here for, lake trout and just a, diverse area. There's also ice fishing for largemouth out here in walleye too, in Wyoming, which, blows quite a few people away. But Boysen Reservoir is a really good lake if you want to go catch nice walleye through the ice. So,
and Blue Mesa is another one out of Colorado that's got a good reputation. Kurt, thank you for sharing that. So when you're targeting trout, take us through, like today. How did you start your day on Henry's? Where were you fishing in terms of not location, but in terms of depth and habitat, and what were you using for baits?
So typically in the mornings I start out shallow. It's anywhere a foot of water, and usually when I'm in shallow, I'll do crawdad imitation baits. I don't know how well you can see this, but it's just a little plastic crawdad on a jig head. There, that's a little bit better. And so a lot of times out here we can use jaw jackers, which if you guys aren't familiar, they automatically set the hook. There's jigging jaw jackers as well, but if a lot of times I'll set my hut up in 2 to 3 feet of water and I'll sight fish these fish and just kind of imitate, minnows. There's a lot of sculpins out here, so if you guys are in the Midwest, they look just like a goby. So we just bounce that off the bottom. And then as the morning kind of progresses, those fish kind of move out of the shallows into deeper water. So I'll find these big flats or these points that kind of drop off. They start off at that, 2 to 4 foot, then they go from 5 to 8 and then 8 to 12. As I move out deeper, I kind of switch my presentation up to be a little more aggressive. So I'll use these lipless cranks like this. That's a HD ice or spoons. And if I'm fishing 12 feet of water, I really like to work, 4 to 6 feet off the bottom. So almost that mid water column. A lot of trout, when they're swimming, even if they're on the bottom, they're always looking up. Same thing with lake trout. They're always looking for what's above them and what's in front of them. So you can never really be too high up from them. So that's pretty much what I use. You can also use, as we discussed, you got the atomic teaser tubes here, which that one right there is my absolute favorite for trout. It doesn't matter if you're in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Colorado, anywhere. That little atomic teaser tube, tipped with a mealworm or a piece of shrimp, is going to get the job done for trout.
Are you fishing that fairly aggressively, or are you dead sticking that?
It depends on the lake. There's a lot of lakes where, dead stick is king. There's other places where I'm just kind of, twitching it or just kind of shaking my wrist and not the rod, just to kind of get that tail to kind of quiver when that fish comes in. And, even if it's dead sticked, if a fish comes in, it's moving water. So that little teaser tail just goes nuts. And, a lot of these bait fish before they take off will kind of have that same quiver. So it kind of enacts that, instinct in the trout to grab it before it takes off.
Yeah. So are you fishing again tomorrow?
Yeah, I am. So I'm going to fish about a half day, then it's about a 6-hour drive home.
I was going to ask what the nearest airport was so we could head down there, bro.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It'd be fun to see him again. I seen him. I was actually at Cabela's in Green Bay, and we come out and we shot something together, and maybe I'll have to come out. We'll shoot something else again.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, Shane, hey, thank you for your time tonight. Good luck tomorrow. Drive safe, and it's really
thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service, and also thank you for sharing so much really useful information. It was very helpful.
Yeah,
have a great night. All right, we'll talk soon. Bro, every once in a while you learn something that makes you wonder, why didn't I know about this 15 or 20 years ago? I think that we're underutilizing some really awesome bodies of water, and road trips like this could be a heck of a lot of fun. All I know is when I fished Hebgen over Christmas vacation a couple years ago, I was blown away how good the fishing really was. So that was kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
So
sky's the limit over there.
Yeah. So, hey, we headed up to Ontario, and then we went out to Rock Springs. Actually, we went out to Idaho, and now we're heading over to Linwood, Michigan. Joe Reimer with Frank's Great Outdoors. And I know you guys, hey, Joe, I really welcome you tonight and thank you. I heard a rumor. Actually, I was worried that you might not actually appear on air with us tonight because of a situation that happened with Bro a number of years back. Something about massive walleyes getting away because he didn't want something about a net or something.
That's exactly why I'm sitting right here where I am, just to show him I finally got him.
You got it? Oh, no, I'm glad to hear that.
Hey,
I was concerned that maybe there was some animosity that had built up from losing such a giant fish. So
we had a fish by that,
What happened? I know Bro is not he's not forthcoming in the story.
I was sworn to secrecy, the spot and everything. So I'm gonna have to leave that story to Bro. I mean, he's got a better story on it. All I can tell you is probably the biggest walleye I ever seen. He won't say that it's the biggest walleye he ever seen, but it was pretty big. And
how big
he was
it?
pre-fishing for a tournament.
Okay.
It was bigger than this one. This one was 13 on the Detroit River.
It was one of those years where the fish were just giant and there was lots of them. And he was pre-fishing with me for a tournament, and some tournament boats were nearby, and they could see, for a long way. So I wasn't going to bring the net out. So I said, just play with it for a while. And the next thing you know, it was off.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I guess I told him to swing it in, and he's like, seriously, this thing's huge. I wish we could have waited, but since then he's hated me ever since, and so we've been good friends.
The story's better than the fish, so yeah, it's all good.
That's awesome. Hey, Bro has told me about Frank's Great Outdoors. You guys have a really awesome shop out of Linwood, so you're on the shores of Saginaw Bay. Yes. But I know you got some specials that in honor of the road show, which isn't happening this year. But can you kind of take us through there? What you got coming up?
Yeah, sure. Bro was talking about the Micro Pro Revolution, the AquaView. Yeah. And we have a couple specials related to that. So I think we got the links or whatever on the show. I don't know if you put those on there or not, but we have some links for those. Anybody that orders one of those, the Pro or the Revolution 5.0 is going to get a free carry case, which, Bro, that's probably pretty much a must to carry around. It's just awesome.
And
have
free.
It right here. Yeah, it's going to be free with the camera, as well as AquaView is going to send you a 12-volt booster charger as well. Colt said they do that for you. So,
awesome. Kai, go ahead and roll the web page on the graphic. There you go. And
okay.
then And you can get these online as well as in the store, correct?
Yeah, online or in the store. But yes, this is for this show. And then early ice, we got a little package. It's really cool. Safety wise, comes with 3 different items. Of course, the picks, the Frabill picks. Everybody's got those. Look at that.
Yeah.
The cleats, the ice cleats, either a large or extra large with the Frabill ice cleats, and the 3600 Frabill bag. Regular price of $37 for all of that for $19.99 just for the bro deal. So that's really good. All 3 items.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, all 3 for $19.99. So that's awesome. And then we got the Fish Monkey gloves, whether it comes in the glove itself or the mitten. You got your Fish Monkeys. Yep.
So those are the
awesome.
Yetis. Yeah, they're
awesome
incredible
Yeti gloves or the mittens. Free liner as well with those, and free shipping. So so it's a great deal on those gloves. I wore those gloves. Bro showed them to me. They're just, I mean, it's incredible. And in all seriousness, bro fishes. He knows. I mean, if he's using it, it's good stuff. I mean, it's just he puts the stuff through.
And you still have deals on razor augers, don't you? You get.
Oh yeah. Free blades. Yep. On the Scouts. Yep. Those are good too as well.
Free blades.
Free blades, extra blades. Yeah.
That's a sweet deal.
Yeah. So. Those are great deals. Bro's always out, either if he's at Nova at the Ultimate Fishing Show or for Shanty Days, which we got coming up December 11th through the 13th. He's out for either one or both sometimes.
So I've heard of Shanty Days. What is Shanty Days?
Busy.
Yeah, we put him through the ringer, man. Yeah, I'm tough on him. It's pretty funny. So
you would believe how much product they sell there. It is just a huge deal, and they sell so many houses. Like, didn't he sell 1 million houses? No.
Yeah, at least 1 million. No, not in a year, but yeah. It's just Shanty Days is basically what it is. It's one event a year, one time, three days on a weekend. It's the second weekend in December.
Okay.
We usually do it after the St. Paul Ice Show, because everybody's over in St. Paul on the first weekend. So we get people to come over on the second weekend. We get a lot of support from all the different bros been there many times. And what it is, it's deals of the year. You don't get the same deals on Shanty as you do all year. You get a free travel cover with every flip over Shanty. Now we're adding light bars, everything, combos, ice rods, ice reels, cases, whatever, you name it, creepers, gloves, it's all on sale. All the float suits, everything. So it's like Christmas for ice fishermen, and it's pre-season deals because everybody knows, once you get ice, product starts getting harder to find. You can't really do those deals once you get into the ice. In Michigan, we're kind of like the second ice fishing season with you guys. We're later, I mean, if you're fishing by Saginaw Bay end of January, all the way through February, you're doing pretty good. So
what other bodies of water do typically you guys serve in terms of customers?
Well, Frank's is a kind of a destination place. We're right in the middle of the state, kind of on Saginaw Bay, and Higgins Lake and Houghton Lake, up in those areas, all the destination places. People that go to the UP. The UP is only, the bridge is 2 hours from us. So the UP is pretty close. All the different inland lakes that are downstate as well. But Higgins and Houghton is really huge up in that area. But we got Tawas Bay, all the little bays on Saginaw Bay. There's a lot of ice fishing going on there. The Saginaw River as well. That usually comes first. People can walk out on it, and walleye fishing is just tremendous. Yeah,
that's awesome. So if they want to take advantage of this from anywhere they are right now, it is go to franksgreatoutdoors.com/bros deal, promo deals, with a hyphen between each one of those. And that's really awesome. Hey, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys having me, man. Good seeing you.
When I was at the Novi show at the Frank's booth, they had all the Frabill houses set up. At the end of the show, there's nothing to put away. Everything's sold out.
Yep, absolutely.
It's hard work in the beginning, but there's nothing left at the end of the show, literally.
And then, bro, he's got a huge following here in Michigan, and we're happy to have him. He's been coming here for 10 years, really been dedicated, and he's seen it grow through the 10 years, and we appreciate all of his efforts as well.
The place is immaculate, and every time I've been there, there's been someone cleaning the windows and open the door for me. And it's immaculate. I'm afraid to go in there. It's like upscale place. Beautiful store.
Hey, we just had a question. Do you guys offer free shipping to Canada?
Not to Canada. I don't think so. Those guys
Okay.
are shipping with the Black Friday deal right now. They're still working right now, packing stuff right now with this Black Friday holiday. It's been crazy. So
go ahead. Well, if Bro hadn't brought Heather with on all these years, would he still be as popular?
I don't know. I think she's the worker, he's the face. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah.
she's behind the scenes doing all the work.
Hey, someone's got to hold up the wall.
Yes.
Say hi to Larry.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's probably watching right now.
Right.
We just we're going to put on a 6,000. It's going to open up Shane Days, bro. So a 6,000 square foot addition out the front. So that'll be pretty cool. So it'll be a total ice room coming out, which is going to be nice. And 75 years it's been in business. So we've got a huge following, local, just a little cornfield, Linwood, man. It's just the owners have just done tremendous with that
Small
place.
town, beautiful
Small
place.
town. Yep.
And tell Dad not to be crabby.
As serious anglers really appreciate a store like Frank's, just because when you get there and you got what we need and have it in stock and all that. So, hey, thanks so much. Have a great Christmas, and I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Thanks so much
guys.
for coming on board. We'll
Thank you.
to catch up again.
All right.
See you later.
See ya.
Bye, guy. Wow.
All right.
I got to go to Frank's sometime. I haven't been to Michigan in a number of years. I'll tell you that. I can tell you a story. I had when I was about a year out of college, there was a hunting show somewhere in central Michigan, and they held it. I don't know why they held it, but they had it in the opening of duck season.
Oh.
And there was like 5 people in the whole show. And one of the guys I was working with, Bill Miller, came up. He says, there's a gun raffle like 3 rows over, and there's like 10 tickets in there. And so I looked at my wallet. I had like $6 in there because I had no money as a college kid. I went over and I bought a ticket for $2, and he spent like 25, and I won a rifle. So that's my remembrance of Michigan. So,
That's
hey,
awesome.
bro, we got 3 minutes left. Just a reminder that we're going to be giving away the Frabill prize pack, including the College of Ice mug. I got to turn it this way. These very cool mugs. So if you want a College of Ice, make sure you continue to comment. As soon as the show's over, we're going to get our heads together. We're going to pick a winner from tonight's commenters and somebody that's been involved. It's just awesome as well. And bro, Wednesday night, 7:00 Central, we got another pretty cool show coming on board. We're going to talk rattles or not for walleyes. I want to tap into your expertise on this. We've got Frabill Pro Joe Piatek coming in on that. And then we got a really special guest coming in, Cuz Strickland. Everybody that's followed Mossy Oak for many, many years, Cuz has been a huge personality. And he's going to give us a Southerner's perspective on ice fishing.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, somebody from Mississippi talking about ice. So I really think it'll be fun to kind of see how we're viewed.
Not just in your drink either, remember.
Yeah, that's true. And then the other thing is we're going to go do a deep dive into what lines should we be using through the ice and why. I know you've really migrated toward fluorocarbon, but there's times when mono and braid makes sense too. And I'm really looking forward to your expertise on that. So what do you think?
Yes, that all sounds great. I want to tell you too, one time at the Novi show, I was speaking up on this lake. They make a lake inside the building and it's full of trout. And I just got done doing my seminar and I was catching trout one after another, ice fishing lures.
Yeah.
And Kevin Van Dam walks up with great big bass plastics. He goes, how many did you get? I said, well, I got 13. And he goes, you ice fisherman. He's throwing bass baits and crankbaits. And I just drop it down and catch trout. It was nonstop.
Oh, isn't that cool? So we've had KVD on, College of Ice. We just had Gussie on here. It's pretty cool bringing these guys on, isn't it?
True experts and great information on all ice fishing. And thank you viewers for watching. You guys are why we're here, and we just want you to get out and fish on the ice at a safe distance from each other and have a great winter for sure.
That's awesome. So hey, stick around. So next show is Wednesday night at 7 Central, right here, wherever you're watching it right now on Facebook Live, on Frabill and other sites. And if you do have questions, we're going to try and do some of these questions after the show is over. But bro, why don't we take a break here? Let's pick a winner for tonight's show. Kai, go ahead and show us that graphic on what they can win through the Framingham Prize Pack tonight for tuning in.
All right.
Yeah, very cool. All righty, bro. Yeah, let's meet up offline here. Pick a winner, and we'll be right back, guys.
We'll be right back.
Wow, we just raced back in here. Bro, we've got a winner. You want to name our winner?
Kendra Michelle, you have just won the prize package.
Woohoo!
All right. Thank you for sharing it. It was really, really tough. Trust me, it was really tough. We have some great entries, and congrats, Kendra. But stay tuned and watch Wednesday and win.
You know, bro, I can't. Tonight was insane with the number of views and the number of comments. So thank you, everybody, for your passion. Thank you for joining us tonight, and keep the comments coming. We really, really enjoy it. I got a kick out of bro. I got a kick out of you waving everybody. I think you know everybody that's calling in. So that's really cool.
I got to move.
All right, everybody. Have a great Sunday night. If you're a Packer fan, good luck, Packers. If you're a Bears fan, good luck, Bears. Look forward to seeing you back into that game. And yeah, thanks for joining us on College of Ice. We will see you.
It's going to get cold now. We're going to make some ice.
We're going to make some ice. Bro, I got to get up fishing with you too. So take
Thanks for watching this week's College of Ice. Stay tuned for all new episodes coming up.